On October 30th of 2006, Bring Me the Horizon released their debut album, Count Your Blessings, and it was a deathcore, metalcore mix. It did not receive great praise, and they decided to change it up with their next upcoming albums. And now they have completely ditched the metalcore for a more alternative rock, radio-friendly rock, and pop sound. It's one of the bigger changes from a band I've ever seen. But in this universe, we're going to take a look at what if Bring Me the Horizon decided to stay metalcore. If after their last technical metalcore album, Sempiternal, they decided to keep going with that. Still going with different genres like the electronic and stuff like that, but still decided metalcore is what we're going to do. Well, let's get it started. So as I mentioned, 2006, their debut album, Count Your Blessings, came out. People bashed it. And right away, I guess the big song off of that was Pray for Plagues. Right away, the band themselves decided to ditch that sound, and on November 18th of 2008, Suicide Season came to fruition, and this is the one that gained the band mainstream attention from songs like Chelsea Smile, Diamonds Aren't Forever, The Sadness Will Never End. It was ranked one of the heaviest albums in the history, as Kerrang! In 2011 ranked it the 21st heaviest album out of the top 50. And it was also put in Rock Sound's UK Hall of Fame in 2012. There's songs on here like The Come Down, It Was Written in Blood, Football Season Is Over, that also gained decent recognition. And there was a funny song called No Need for Introductions, I Read About Girls Like You, on the backs of toilet doors. So they were kind of living this heavy style, still keeping that metalcore that everybody loved while ditching the deathcore, and also adding more catchiness to their songs. And there was a tint of electronic on this album, on a song like Chelsea Smile, and on a song like Diamonds Aren't Forever, The Sadness Will Never End. You get just a bit of electronic here and there. And unlike Count Your Blessings, Suicide Season had features. It had J.J. Peters of D's Nuts and Sam Carter of The Architects on the songs Football Season Is Over and The Sadness Will Never End. The band was getting to bigger heights, and people were wondering what they were going to do for their follow-up album. Well, on October 4th of 2010, so 2 years later again, the band decided to release their third studio album. Get ready for this. This title's a doozy. There is a hell, believe me, I've seen it. There is a heaven, let's keep it a secret. And once again, it's metalcore, definitely. I mean, songs like Anthem, It Never Ends, Fuck, and Alligator Blood. It is definitely, your typical metalcore album. But there's certain songs on here that you go, is this still them? Crucify Me, although once again, metalcore, features more electronic elements in the chorus with the feature Lights, who also features on the song Don't Go, and that song is more slowed down. That was kind of like their definition of a ballad back in the day. And then songs like Home Sweet Hole featured stuff like bass slaps, which we rarely got from them. I know Written in Blood did. You had Skrillex on Visions, which was, I think, that wasn't the instrumental. Memorial was the instrumental, but the fact that they decided to work with Skrillex on a metalcore album, it was just kind of like, and Blessed with a Curse also had metalcore elements. And some of the hardcore fans still said, you know what, this is fine. The hardcore fans kind of just went, wow, they are slowly dipping into something we didn't think they were going to get into. I mean, to go from one of the heaviest albums of all time in Suicide Season to kind of the more, I mean, it was still heavy in elements, but it just, they did kind of tone it down a bit. It was kind of surprising to many, considering how successful Suicide Season was. But then people got even more surprised, as January 11th, 2013, the band released a song called Shadow Moses for their upcoming fourth studio album. And it definitely was metalcore. It's probably one of the more metalcore songs on that album I'm going to mention. But the chorus was kind of weird because it was more electronic than usual, and it featured more clean vocals than usual as well. And on April 1st of 2013, we got the album Sempiternal, and it also featured singles like Sleepwalking, Go to Hell for Heaven's Sake, and Can You Feel My Heart, which, once again, keep that metalcore element, but then you realize there's more alternative rock, electronic in this, and just basically alternative metal. And this was the last time an album of theirs was defined with the genre metalcore. And it makes me wonder, and I think a lot of people wonder, what made them change their minds? From wanting to write the heaviest music out there to just kind of doing something different. And all I can really say is, I guess they matured and grew up. Not to say that you can't make the music they were making before if you're like in your 40s or something, but Ali Sykes went through a lot. He had a ketamine addiction that he went to rehab for. That's where the whole idea of Sempiternal came into play, especially a song like Sleepwalking, Can You Feel My Heart, for that album. But they also had trouble keeping a rhythm guitarist, as everybody knows Lee Malia as their lead guitarist through their first three albums, specifically their first three albums. But on their first album, Count Your Blessings, the rhythm guitar was Curtis Ward along with Suicide Season. But they kicked him out of the band because he was a little hard to work with. And then in There Is a Hell, Matt Keane, he's the regular bassist. Jonah Weifenhofen would be the rhythm guitarist for that one album. He would also provide keyboards, but then he would leave shortly after. And in 2013, we got the first taste of Jordan Fish, who became the team's programmer, keyboarder, synthesizer, backing vocals, and other concussions that weren't drums. And, I feel like getting an actual keyboardist in there really made them go, what can we get away with? What more can we do? And you look since Sempiternal, the two albums that they put out, that's The Spirit, which had an alternative rock, new metal, some pop rock in there, even on a song like Drown, which was more pop punk than anything. And on their recent album, Amo, which, features a lot more electronic and definitely like Nihilist blues, and still featuring that friendly radio rock that they become to know with songs like Wonderful Life, Mantra, Sugar, Honey, Ice, and Tea. And they even did a trap song, which was called Why You Gotta Kick Me When I'm Down, which I think that's when the fans were like, all right, no, this is not what we expected at all. But, yeah, now that kind of leaves the question, what if they decided to stay metalcore after Sempiternal? So, these questions are always hard to answer, what if, because mainly I'm just answering with my opinion, but, I do think with the way they were turning with, like, Sempiternal, I do think they were going to get just a little bit more airplay, just because I feel like the electronic elements would have really helped out. Especially with Jordan Fish being there, now they can, like I said, do a lot more in the electronic element, something that I feel like they wanted to come out and do on albums like Suicide Season and There Is a Hell more often, but didn't get the chance to. And I feel like, that's The Spirit wouldn't exist, and we wouldn't have good songs like Doomed, Drown, Follow You, True Friends, Happy Song, What You Need from that album to begin with, and it'd be the same with Ammo for the good songs that are on there too. And like I said, I don't know. This is just basically on my opinion. Like, I don't think they'd be as mainstream as they are now. They'd still be popular in the UK, and some of the fans, will still enjoy it. They'd be like, it may not be full on metalcore anymore, but it's still metalcore with more of an alternative rock sound, which there are bands out there that do it. Asking Alexandria has done it for a while. I Prevail, does it quite a bit as well. So, it's just a matter of what would they have been able to get away with, because that's the spirit. I mean, that's when they really showed that they are definitely changing their sound. Whereas Sempiternal, they kind of hinted at it, but also they didn't really go out of their comfort zone a lot in that album, kind of sticking with a safer kind of electronic metalcore sound. But yeah, that's basically what I think would happen if they were to stick with their original genre. Now, I know technically their original genre was deathcore, and they quickly ditched that for metalcore, but there was still metalcore elements in Count Your Blessings, just like there were still deathcore elements in Suicide Season, but they added more rhythm, and, the breakdowns became less and less as each album went on. So they still might not be the heaviest band in the world, but they would still be doing the metalcore thing. Anyway, that does it for this episode of What If. I know it's been a while. Tell me in the comments below any other episode ideas for What If that you want me to do. You can see a playlist up here. So far I've done What If Panic at the Disco released Cricket and Clover instead of Pretty Odd. What If Weezer released Songs from the Black Hole instead of Pinkerton. A bonus episode, What If Paramore broke up in 2011. What If Green Day's Cigarettes and Valentine's tapes were never stolen. And what if Patrick Stump's solo career took off during the soul punk era and Fall Out Boy ended up breaking up. So I've already had those 5 episodes out. You can enjoy them if you want. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. Please remember to like and subscribe. If you're on Facebook, share. And I will catch you guys in the next one.